Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Best Bites Forever. Today I am making these absolutely delicious, moist and tender red wine braised short ribs. Let's rock them out. I'm starting off here with a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, and to that I'm going to add 2 pieces of bacon. This is a hickory smoked bacon, but you can use whatever kind you want. I'm going to go ahead and take a few minutes to render the fat from the bacon. When you're rendering bacon, generally you want to do it on like a medium-low heat. So this is what they're looking like so far, and we're going to give them a few more minutes. Once all of the fat is rendered out of my bacon and it's looking nice and crispy like this, I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the pan and set it over to the side. Then I'm going to take my short ribs, hit them up with a little bit of kosher salt all the way around, and put them into the pan to sear. Once these get a nice sear on them, like so, I'm going to go ahead and flip them over. Once we have a lovely sear on both sides, we're going to go ahead and remove these from the pan altogether. And then we're going to start adding in our veggies. I have some onions here to start. And now that I have some lovely color on my onion, I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 cloves of garlic. And I'm going to let this cook for 1 or 2 more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add in a little sprinkle of salt. This is kosher salt. Give this a nice little stir. Remember, we are trying to get some browning here, not burning, so make sure you're not taking your veggies too far. Next, I'm going to add in some carrots and celery. Another little pinch of salt and some black pepper. And give this a nice little stir. When my veggies are looking like this, I'm going to go ahead and add in a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste. And stir it around to coat the veggies. As you're doing this, you can kind of scrape some of the bits off of the bottom. Don't worry, because they are going to come off a lot better here in a minute when we deglaze the pan. But we want the tomato paste to caramelize just a little bit. Once our tomato paste is looking all beautiful and caramelized like this, we're going to go ahead and add in about 2 cups of wine. It's going to be around a half of a bottle. And deglaze your pan. So you want to scrape all the goodness up off of the bottom. By the way, for the wine, I recommend using something cheap. Don't use your good wine here, because all of those little subtle nuances that you pay for are going to cook out of what we are doing. After this reduces down for a couple of minutes and is looking like this, I'm going to add in some beef stock. So I'm going to start off with right around 2 cups. This is going to cook down, so don't get too hung up on an exact measurement. And then we're going to go ahead and add our short ribs back in. I'm going to go bone side up this time and just kind of nuzzle them in there. Try to get them where they're not sitting on a bunch of stuff. That's mostly because we want them to be submerged. And I have 1.5 pounds of short ribs here, but this recipe you could easily make probably 2 to 3 pounds with the same measurements. I'm also going to add that bacon back in from earlier. And I have a couple of parsley sprigs. Those are going in. A little bit of fresh thyme. And just a small piece of rosemary. I don't want to like overdo it with the rosemary because I don't want the flavor taking over. And I'm going to add more beef stock to get these as covered as possible. Really, you want to start with them covered all the way, and you can add water too. Of course, the stock is going to give you more flavor, so up to you. Keep in mind though, if you're using a stock that has a lot of salt in it, as it reduces down, it's going to become more and more salty. So if you're using 2 boxes of stock, you may want to go ahead and use 1 reduced sodium one. So I am going to go ahead and add just a couple of cups of water until my meat is a little bit more covered. Lovely. I have my oven heated up to 275 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to bring this back to a simmer, and then I'm going to put some foil on it to cover it. If you have an oven-safe lid, obviously that's better. And then it's going to go into the oven for about 3.5 to 4 hours. So this just came out of the oven a couple of minutes ago. And of course it looks amazing. I'm going to go ahead and pull these guys out of the juices and put them over to the side. See how tender? Look at that. So these are coming out along with the herbs that I put in, the parsley stems, the rosemary, and the thyme, and then I'm going to turn this on high and reduce it. So you can see how thick this has gotten, and you can actually serve it just like this if you want, obviously with the meat back in it. But I'm going to go ahead and blend this down too. So an immersion blender would be ideal. However, a piece of mine is missing, so I'm going to just use my blender to blend it. So this is what the sauce looks like after going through the blender. It's got a very nice thickness to it. I did go ahead and strain it through a cheesecloth as well. This is what was in my cheesecloth, which looks really fantastic too, so you can either strain it or not strain it, totally up to you. For my plate up, I'm going to also add a little bit of lemon zest just to brighten it up, as well as some parsley to give it some color. I am serving this with cornbread, but obviously you can serve it with whatever you want. Thank you so much for watching, and happy cooking!
bestbitesforever.com